So arguably we get the most awkward trophy presentation in the history of tennis. The NFL season kicks off and we got plenty to talk about from there. And Aaron Rodgers is a bad man. All this and more on episode 5 of the K-Wheel Show. Let's get to business. We'll start off with Serena Williams' emotional day at the 2018 US Open in her finals match against Naomi Osaka. Serena met Osaka in the finals of the 2018 US Open, where Naomi would eventually upset Williams in straight sets and become the 2018 US Open Women's Champion. However, the big story was what happened in the second set, as Williams and chair umpire Carlos Ramos will get into a heated exchange. Ramos gave Williams a coaching warning after allegedly taking tips from her coach sitting in the audience. During tennis tournament events, coaches are not allowed to coach their players throughout the tournament, which doesn't really make sense because I'm not really sure what a coach is supposed to do if they're not supposed to coach. Williams would confront the umpire for the warning, proclaiming, "I don't cheat to win, I'd rather lose." After the confrontation broke down, Williams would lose another point to Osaka and slam her racket in frustration. At this point, Ramos decided to give Williams a point violation for slamming her racket, which in tennis again is a violation. As the confrontation ensued, Williams was given a third penalty for calling Ramos a liar and a thief. That penalty put Osaka up 5-3, which meant that she only needed to win one more game in order to win the match. Williams would continue to confront the umpire and eventually even tournament officials as she tearfully demanded an apology. "I have never cheated in my life," Williams said. "I have a daughter and I stand for what is right, and I have never cheated." Williams would eventually compare her violations to those of her male counterparts, saying that males have done much worse without the same violations being enforced. The outward claims of sexism would cast a cloud of dissension around the trophy ceremony for Osaka. During the trophy presentation, Osaka was visibly upset as the crowd continued to jeer the officials for the violations and the way they were enforced during the match. Williams would eventually speak up for her opponent and demanded that the crowd show appreciation to her. At the end, Williams would eventually be fined a total of $17,000 for the point violations during the Open Finals. This opened a social media firestorm as athletes came to the defense of Serena Williams, and eventually a conversation was started about sexism in professional tennis. Williams has dealt with this adversity consistently throughout her career, as her dominance has continuously been downplayed due to her sex. This clearly has been a hot button topic for Williams, and to her credit, there's a lot of truth to it. In this particular case, in my opinion, I think there were wrongs on both sides of the equation. Overall, Ramos, knowing the importance of a US Open Finals, seemed to be trying to make a point enforcing the violations the way that he did against Williams. And at this point, I feel like he crossed the line. Being called a liar and a thief in a moment where you arguably can be considered a liar and a thief, him taking away an entire game and affecting the finals in the way that he did, there's no need for that, and I think it's absolutely ridiculous. As far as Williams goes, I do understand her being upset and reacting in the way that she did, but in my mind, I wish that she didn't let the umpire affect her usual laser-like focus on the tennis court that she typically has during a match of this importance. If she turns around and uses this bogus call as motivation and she wins this tournament, nobody's going to be thinking of her as a cheater, but everybody will be thinking of her as a winner. This could be argued as a culmination of all of the frustration that Williams has had to this point. After numerous events of spitefulness in the past, including the French Open tournament officials borrowing her custom Nike catsuit that she intended to wear during the tournament. I'm all for Serena Williams fighting for women's rights in sports and women's rights in general, but as an athlete, I wish that she hadn't allowed this situation to take away from yet another historic moment in her career. My question of the day is, do you think Serena Williams was in the right in the manner in which she handled her confrontation with the chair umpire during the US Open? Comment down below, let me know your opinion. Le'Veon Bell passed on an $855,000 game check to extend his holdout from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Bell has been dealing with contract negotiations with the Steelers for the past 2 seasons, and reportedly has turned down 2 offers that would have made him the highest paid running back in the league. The holdout has started to affect the team in a negative manner, as some of the offensive linemen had some remarks to say on Wednesday. Bell's agent reportedly told the team that Bell will report to the team around Labor Day. And when that day passed and he no-showed, some members of the team took offense. Specifically, veteran linemen Ramon Foster and Marquise Pouncey. Pouncey, in so many words, would refer to Bell as a little selfish, and he would also work to turn the team's attention around to Cleveland, their opponent on Sunday. Ramon Foster added his opinion on the situation, stating, "What do you do? Here's a guy who doesn't give a damn, I guess, so we'll treat it as such. I just hate it came to this." He also re-emphasized that this was not about Bell getting his money, as all professional football players seek out to do, but it was more about the fact that Bell came off selfish by the way that he was handling the situation when it comes to team chemistry. Bell and the Steelers have been in 2 opposite directions when it comes to contract negotiations, as the past 2 seasons, Bell has been tendered the franchise tag. Bell agreed to those terms for the past 2 seasons, but is now starting to look for some long-term security. And in terms of time and length, clearly the Steelers and Bell have not seen eye to eye with what Bell sets as his expectations for his contract. In my opinion, although both sides have valid points, I'm gonna have to go with Le'Veon Bell on this point. When healthy, Bell is without a doubt the best running back in the NFL. In the past 6 seasons, Bell has been an All-Pro selection in 2 of those seasons, and currently he is in the prime of his career at the age of 26. Out of a possible 80 games, Bell has only participated in 62 of those games, which again brings up another point as to the health at the position of running back in the NFL. Health is a huge factor for running backs in the NFL, as they typically start to hit a wall around the age of 30. And clearly Bell has this in mind during his contract negotiations. Last season, Pittsburgh gave Bell 406 touches, which was his all-time career high to the point. Bell and his representation clearly know the value of the player as a whole, and they want that to be reflected in how Pittsburgh compensates him for the future. The 2018 franchise tag guarantees Bell $14.5 million in guaranteed money, which would make it the highest average amongst running backs in the NFL. However, recently, Los Angeles Rams running back Todd Gurley re-signed a contract for an average of $14.3 million. So clearly Bell thinks that he should be above and beyond any other running back. And since Gurley just got paid, why can't I get paid too? Bell must report to the team by week 11 if he hopes to remain eligible for the rest of the 2018 season. Antonio Brown put it best, as he said, "Nobody wins when family fights." And this is the stance that's most important when it comes to football. The negative reactions and the public talk about the ins and outs of the locker room of Pittsburgh is something that you never want within a team, as it's always going to disrupt team chemistry. Regardless of talent, if the players in the locker room can't get along with one another, then the overall goal to reach as a team is much harder to achieve. Although I believe that Bell should be going to get his money, I don't agree with the locker room going to the media and giving their opinions about the situation. I think that all problems should stay in-house, and that's the best way for a family to stay family. The NFL season kicked off this week, and the game I wanted to focus on today was the Sunday night game between the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers, where Aaron Rodgers showed he was the GOATest GOAT to ever throw. Rodgers was injured on a sack in the second half and had to be carted off to the locker room for evaluation. While out, the Bears would take a commanding 17-0 lead, which eventually sprouted to a 20-0 lead, before Aaron Rodgers came back out of the locker room and was ready to lead the Packers down the field again. The final 30 minutes of the game was one to remember, as Aaron Rodgers would eventually lead the Packers to a 24-23 comeback victory. With a couple more defensive stops and more firepower from Aaron Rodgers, the Packers would pull the score to 20-17. Although in shock, the Bears would answer back, as Mitchell Trubisky led a drive down the field that stretched the Bears' lead 23-17. With only 2 minutes and 39 seconds left, it was go time for Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers offense, and it only took him 26 seconds to strike. On 3rd and 10, Rodgers found Randall Cobb right in the middle of the field, and he streaked up the field untouched for the game-winning touchdown. After finishing the season with a broken collarbone last year and missing the playoffs, Packers fans had to be distraught as they saw their leader, Aaron Rodgers, down on the turf on Sunday night. Rodgers, being the true cowboy that he is, referenced all-time Packers legend Brett Favre when he said, "Playing behind Brett Favre for 3 years, you realize you've got to be tough to play this position." As I've mentioned before, my opinion is that Aaron Rodgers is the greatest quarterback in the NFL right now. And on Sunday night, he continued to prove it. Hopefully, throughout the season, he can stay healthy, lead the Packers to the playoffs, and eventually validate this season by winning another Super Bowl championship. That's going to do it for today's show. Once again, I really appreciate you guys for coming out and watching everything within the K-Will Show. Continue to support. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe button down below to get more information on my videos as they come out. This is the K-Will Show. I'm out. Peace.